So, verse 43. There he regains the mental impressions of union with the divine, which he had developed in his previous life, and with this as the starting point, he strives again for perfection. O joy of the Kurus, Arjuna! If someone appears on an exam and then fails, then what happens when he comes to take the examination the next year? An elder in the house will tell him, look son, this exam is very difficult. Last year there was a wedding ceremony in the family and you were not able to study properly. Your hard work went to waste and you did not pass. Last year there was a wedding ceremony in the family and now a new child is going to come in the family. There will be a lot of running around in the house and the dates of the exam are near to the delivery time. Just do this. Stay at my brother's house. If you stay here, then there will be a lot of difficulties. There will be a lot of guests coming. Rather than that, go to stay at your uncle's house. There is nothing that will distract you, and so you will be able to concentrate. Just take your examinations and then come back home. In the same way, God is very compassionate. He sees an individual soul coming up, and when the individual soul becomes brushed, and God asks, dear son, why were you not successful? I will give this to you. In the path of yoga brushed, there can only be two distractions. The devotee says to God, dear Lord, I really had a strong wish to practice bhakti or devotion, but I had to work so hard to earn a living that I had to go and labor for 8 to 10 hours a day. God, I had no rest and had to work hard all the time. I had to make all the ends meet in both these areas. 1.5 hours every day would be taken in driving my car to work and back, and I would come home so tired from all my hard work. How then in driving my car, being able to drive and work, how can I then find time to practice bhakti to you? God says, is that the case, son? Fine, you have to work so hard just to earn a living, and that is why you could not come close to me. Fine, I'll give you your wealth, okay? Now you don't have to worry about making ends meet. This is God's grace. The first reason why a person could not come to close to God could be because of a lack of wealth and having to work hard for long hours to make one's ends meet. The second reason is God, I had a lot of wealth, but I could not understand anything. I just did not find the true God you could tell me where to go, what to do, and how to do it. If I went and sat with one person, then he would tell me to do something. If I went and sat with a second person, then he would tell me to do something else. And if I went to a third person, then he would tell me something different as well. Fine, all of these people say different things, because different people have different views. But God, I should have had the intellect to make the right decision. I could not decide myself what I wanted to do. God, if I had a little more intelligence, then I would have come straight back to you. God says, is that so, son? You did not have the intelligence. Tatatvam buddhi samyogam. I will give you the intelligence to you. Okay? God only looks at the reasons and asks why he wandered away from the path of coming towards him, and why one became chalit or restless. Why did you fall from your path? Whatever the reasons, thereafter this, it will be one of these two. God says that he will give us birth, and that he will not have the same obstacles, and that one will regain the mental impressions of union with the divine, which he had developed in his intellect in his previous life. The journey that one had taken on the path of yoga, the mental impressions of union with the divine which he had developed in his intellect, and all the good thoughts that he had learned in his previous life will be retained and regained. And with this all, as the starting point, he will strive again for attaining the Supreme Soul. The earlier one makes or starts making these efforts, the better. This happens to every person. You will see sometimes that when you're sitting down and there is absolutely nothing, then you have a wish in your mind that you want to do sakarma, to read good scriptures, or to walk on the path of God. One has this feeling from the inside. Know that the good thoughts from your previous life are being awakened, and that these good thoughts are pulling us towards the Supreme Soul. Listen to these thoughts and begin walking on the path of the Supreme Soul. Begin making the effort once again. Only then will you be able to continue the path that he started walking on in your previous birth, and you'll be able to advance on that very path. You will attain your goal. The cause of the Supreme Soul is only to advance on that path. The cause of the Supreme Soul is only one. How can these individual souls who have been separated from me come back to me? How can the individual soul be awakened? Remember the form of the self that he has forgotten. In order to ensure that a person is awake, and to his self, the Supreme Soul, gives the individual soul of all the facilities. If a son has been separated from his father, and the father is looking for his son thinking, where is my son? Where is my son? The father creates an advertisement in the newspaper. He calls the police to investigate and searches everywhere so that his son can come back. His advertisement says, son, come back to me. No one will tell you off. The father does everything in his powers to try and find his son. Then the son reads the newspaper where he is. The son may have run away from home because his parents had told him off, but when he spends 7 to 10 days away from home, he realizes just how much he had at home and all the things he now misses. It is one thing just run away from home. It is another thing to be able to stay away from home. After 2 months or 4 months, the son feels that he has too much hard work here. Rather than this, it is better to listen to what my father told me. The son then telephones or writes a letter back to his house saying, I am here. I have absolutely nothing. Father, I want to come back home. When this letter comes from the son back to his father gets immediately happy and thinks, my son is asking to come home. I will go and get him back. After this, does the father not make all the arrangements? The father tells the son, son, wherever you are, I will come and get you. If you do not have the money for the ticket home, then I will come pick you up. I will send you a driver, or I will send you the money for the ticket home. If all your clothes at home were torn and you left the house, then I will get you some new clothes. You will come to me, and that is enough. In the same way, when that son, that is the individual soul, gets lost in the material world, then the father, who is the Supreme Soul, gets very sad, and that his son does not remember him. God keeps sending out messages of, son, come back, son, come back. The individual soul realizes that the material world has become saturated to do him any wishes to go back to his God. And when you begin performing penances with a firm resolve, then God creates good and fortunate circumstances for you, and everything comes into place for you to continue on that very path. For example, you get wealth. When wealth comes, or when intelligence comes, then a person should not have egotism because of it. He must understand that he has done satkarma. His Supreme Soul has liked his satkarma, and that is why the Supreme Soul has given him this wealth and this intelligence. You have not earned it. God has given it to you. It is God's grace. Where did you get it from? Many people do not have this intelligence, so how did you get this intelligence? God has given it to you. Because of your satkarma, God has given you this much wealth and this much intelligence, so you can continue your good deeds. When you understand this, then wrong use of wealth and intelligence will stop by itself. If you have earned the wealth, then you can use it, and how and you want, and who will be there to ask you. But you have not earned that wealth. It is being given to you. In today's society, this is very important. Wealth and intelligence is being misused and abused. Against this, remember the verses from the Gita. Everything comes with wealth. With wealth, you get power, you get beauty, you get money, you get respect, and everything else. This is all part of wealth. Supreme souls, and this should not be done because all this wealth is getting abused and it's getting misused. Now, this should not be done because the Supreme Soul has given you that wealth. The Supreme Soul has given you that wealth because you have done good deeds. The Supreme Soul has given you that wealth because of an expectation, so you do not use or make wrong use of that self. When Guruji was young, he used to go and make speeches at inter-school competitions. He'd always get an award of 120 rupees. And on the cover, it used to say, for coming first in the inter-school competition. Guruji used to keep these notes with their covers for years, just the way they were. The feeling was so strong that they were kept. All his friends told him to arrange parties because he came first. Now what party can you arrange with a mere 120 rupees? Not much. You can perhaps buy a chocolate with it or get an ice cream when the ice cream man comes to the school. And that is essentially the party. But when these people would ask him to arrange parties, then it would rise in his mind that he would go and speak to the inter-school competition and get an award for it. Why should I waste these notes and money to eat chocolate or ice cream? I cannot do so. When my friends insisted I buy chocolates or ice cream with my pocket money, but instead I kept the prize money just the way it was. The reason why I'm saying this is because when a person gets wealth, recognition, power, intelligence, etc., then that person should think that once he's got all of these things as an award, because of the satkarma he has done, and therefore one should not make wrong use of this wealth. He shouldn't misuse it. He shouldn't abuse it. If a person thinks that he's earned the money and feels like wasting some of it and using it for wrong things, then he should remember the perspective from which Sri Krishna tells us to view wealth and intelligence in these verses. Everything you have earned or got as a result is a result of your very hard work and efforts. It is hard earned. If a person has earned money because of loot, then he wastes it, for example. For example, if he's won £50,000 through gambling, then that money will go back the same way it came, as the person has no value for that money. However, if you have worked hard through many births, and therefore this wealth and intelligence that you have got cannot be misused. You cannot use it for wrong purposes. You should use it for good deeds, and then you will have used it for good purposes. Guruji says that his neighbors were about to go on a yatra, or a pilgrimage. He was about 13 or 14 years old. The neighbors were going together in a group on a bus on the pilgrimage. Everyone in the building gave money to the neighbor on behalf of themselves to offer to the feet of Shivji, or, in front of the various other gods. Guruji was watching this. He was alone and there was nobody else in the house. He saw all these people giving his neighbors all this money. He went running, took the 11 or 15 rupees out of the cover and told his neighbor, "Auntie, could you please offer 11 rupees at the feet of Shivji on behalf of my family?" Why did this happen? Guruji remembers and tears come to his eyes. These were the thoughts of a 13 or 14-year-old boy. His thoughts were that he would not use this money to eat the chocolates or the ice cream, but it was for satkam, then he would give it. Such thoughts can stay with one for life, that whatever I earn is the consequence of my good deeds, and the Supreme Soul has given it to me. That is why I'll use that money for good deeds. By writing about these events, Guruji does not want to show how good he was. Every person has such sentimental events in their childhood. I'm sure everyone in this room has these, similar sort of events. Secondly, he remembers these sentiments. When he used to go to his grandma every vacation, he would come back to Mumbai and his grandma would tell him that he's going to a foreign country, because Mumbai at the time was counted as a foreign country in the villages. My grandmother would give me money, for example, 1 rupee to me as a good omen. Could you eat even a biscuit or a train for 1 rupee? Everyone will have this experience where someone has given money to them as a good omen. Can you misuse this money? You have to look after it and keep it separate from the rest of the money, because it was given to you as a blessing. This 1 rupee will not have much of a convertible value, but it has a lot of plus value. It has a lot of sentimental value. When one has this attachment with the 1 rupee that he's been given as a good omen, then why can one not have the same attachment with all the wealth that you have been given by the Supreme Soul? If one thinks that this one will automatically stop from making wrong use of their wealth, the Supreme Soul has given it to you. Sit quietly and think about this, and you will automatically go away making wrong use of your wealth. I often say this coming at the ground level, that one cannot possibly waste the wealth that the Supreme Soul has given them as a result of their good deeds on things such as cigarettes and tobacco. One cannot do this. How can one use this money for wrong purposes? One's hand will automatically stop, and when it stops, then the person can advance and develop further. This is because he will stop from doing any wrong deeds. The reality is there, but it is about whether or not you are actually aware of it. The state is that you have got your wealth, you've got your intelligence as a result of your good deeds. Everything you have done is a result of your efforts, of your hard-earned efforts. You may have got your wealth, or you may have got your intelligence, or even both. Whatever you have got is a result of the blessings of the Supreme Soul. This is a fact. But are you awake or not towards this? What Sri Krishna is doing here in the Gita is opening the eyes regarding matters where we have kept them closed. He is changing our outlook. We are ourselves very well behaved, that when we have understood something, that we will not go down the wrong path. A person should continue to develop him once again.